people here want to see Scott McKnight.
Hello, Denzel. I am a physical therapist at a rehabilitation center. You know, next time maybe we could catch a movie or
Just got out of a relationship.
We can still
hang out.
Yeah, I mean, you're
Good people.
He thought I'd make the perfect homegirl. I'm just being my regular self.
I told you to wear a dress.
To a basketball game?
Yeah.
We are back with another movie recap. The movie which we are going to recap today is Just Right. Let's get started. But before starting, I would like to request all of you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit the bell icon to get notified. Without any further delay, let's jump into the movie. Just Right is a 2010 American romantic comedy film directed by Sana Hamri, starring Queen Latifah and Common. The film tells the story of a physical therapist, Leslie Wright, who falls in love with a professional basketball player, Scott McKnight. It received mixed reviews from critics. This is a story where true love wins over the fake love of a fan groupie. Queen Latifah plays the lead character, Leslie Wright. She works in physical therapy and specializes in helping basketball players recover from injuries. Her best friend is Morgan, played by Paula Patton. Morgan has already decided to go after a famous basketball player to become her husband. This is what she wants more than anything. Both of them together follow the games of the team from New Jersey called the Nets. Leslie Wright, a physical therapist and die-hard basketball fan, is searching for a boyfriend, but keeps being told by men that they see her only as a friend. After buying a house, Leslie allows her good friend and god sister Morgan to stay at her home. The flighty and irresponsible Morgan dreams of becoming an NBA trophy wife. Following a New Jersey Nets basketball game, Leslie helps star player Scott McKnight at a gas station. They share a friendly conversation about basketball and jazz, and Scott invites Leslie to his birthday party. Leslie attends the party but also brings Morgan, who quickly sets her sights on Scott. Intent on getting his interest, Morgan pretends to volunteer at a homeless shelter and claims to have no interest in Scott at all. He is intrigued and tracks her down. After dating for 3 months, he proposes, and while Leslie expresses some skepticism about the relationship, she is ultimately pleased that Morgan is happy. Morgan doesn't care about being unemployed and living a freeloader existence off Leslie. She's also determined to land a pro basketball player as her future husband so that she can lead a rich and glamorous lifestyle, and thus she lies to Scott, saying she's a social volunteer and isn't looking for a relationship with a pro player as she's already done that in hopes of attracting him. After Leslie is enthusiastic at a ball game, a rival male fan tells her to shut up. Scott finds a note from Morgan where she's dumped him for having blown out his knee, thus putting his future career in danger, along with her rich and glamorous. When Scott is once again successful on the court, Morgan returns and tries to get back into his romantic life. He falls for that and briefly gets back with her, despite presumably having just had sex with and fallen for Leslie. The 2009 NBA All-Star Game, Scott suffers a torn PCL injury that puts his entire career in jeopardy. Morgan becomes suspicious of Scott's physical therapist, a beautiful blonde woman, and begs Leslie to take over as his live-in physical therapist. However, tensions arise as Morgan is now forced to spend more time with Scott and finds herself disliking him, as rumors circle that Scott's career could quickly end if he doesn't recover by the playoffs. Morgan decides to leave Scott by leaving him a letter. Morgan shows cleavage in nearly every outfit she wears, while Leslie shows less, but still does so in various scenes. Her mom also shows a little, while various miscellaneous characters show varying amounts. When Morgan, in a sexy dress, states that women to use the right bait to land men, Leslie puts her hands on her own clothed breasts and says she must be fishing in the wrong river. We see Morgan sleeping in a top that shows cleavage and small shorts. When Morgan mentions having kids with Scott, Leslie asks if she's pregnant. She says no, and then questions her on trying to get pregnant. Morgan and Scott live together, but we don't know either way if they're having sex. A blonde and shapely physical therapist wears a tight top and small shorts while helping Scott stretch, including with her partially being on top of him, using her weight to help in that. The intention doesn't seem to be sexual, but the sight makes Morgan uncomfortable. She later tells Leslie that while some people have gator, she has hoder, implying the woman is a hoe. We see Morgan in a cleavage-revealing sports bra while exercising. We see Scott shirtless in bed. Scott does shirtless sit-ups. When Scott asks why Leslie isn't dating anyone, she states, "She's always been the girl that guys like having around, including in high school." He then jokes about her being that girl, meaning sexually, but she states she was a good girl in school. Scott and Leslie kiss, and we next see them in bed, under the sheets, presumably after sex. We see Scott shirtless with a towel draped over his shoulders. Leslie and Scott do some brief kissing. Despite the awkward breakup, Leslie continues to work with Scott. She encourages and helps him with his recovery and helps to build his confidence. They also bond over their mutual love of basketball and music. Scott expresses surprise that Leslie is not seeing anyone and begins to see her in a more romantic light, and she discovers that he plays piano, a talent he confides is his secret hobby. Scott is able to return to the NBA just before the playoffs and wins his first game back after a pep talk from Leslie. As a thank you, he presents her with her grandfather's classic Mustang, which she has. Had remodeled and restored, but also paid extra to leave a dent in the side door intact, as Leslie says it reminds her of her grandfather. After taking her to dinner, they first share a kiss and then spend the night together. The next morning, Morgan arrives at Scott's door hoping to reconcile, saying that she has been in therapy to work on the abandonment issues which led her to leave Scott in the first place. Brokenhearted, Leslie believes she has no chance against Morgan and decides to leave. Scott, who feels he owes it to Morgan to try to work things out, reluctantly lets Leslie go. However, tensions quickly arise between Morgan and Scott as she continues planning their wedding, while he wants to take things slow. Meanwhile, Leslie is surprised to discover she's being headhunted by many basketball teams impressed by her notable work helping Scott's recovery from his injury. Excited to get an offer from the Nets, Leslie realizes she would have to work with Scott and reluctantly turns the offer down. She then decides to interview with teams far from where she lives to put some distance between Scott, Morgan, and herself. During a televised interview, Scott credits Leslie with his recovery. After praising her, he comes to the realization that he loves her. Morgan, who has been watching the interview, also realizes Scott's feelings and urges him to reunite with Leslie. Chasing Leslie to a job interview in Philadelphia, Scott tells her that he loves her and urges her to reconcile with him despite the anger she might feel. In response, Leslie places a phone call to the Nets and accepts a position with them. A year later, Leslie and Morgan are watching Scott play. Leslie is now one of the Nets' athletic trainers and cheers loudly for Scott, who is at last revealed to be her husband. Here the movie ends. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video, and if you really liked the video, give it a huge thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also hit the bell icon to get notified. Your appreciation means a lot. It gives us the confidence to make more interesting videos and entertain you guys with the best. Also tell us in the comments section which movie recap you guys want to watch in the next video. That's all for today. See you guys in the next video. Until then, take care.